It is now my pleasure to announce our finalists and winner for the Resilient Australia National Mental Health and Wellbeing Award. This is actually the first year in which the mental health and wellbeing category has been a standalone award category as part of the awards program. As a member of the national judging panel, it was really inspiring to see so many projects from around the country focused on mental health and wellbeing. There were 9 projects submitted into the national award category from across Australia. Finalists for the National Mental Health and Wellbeing Resilient Australia Award are New South Wales SES Volunteers Association for their project, New South Wales SES Volunteers Association Rural Mental Health Program, the University of Adelaide for their project Wellbeing Framework and Resource Guide for Mental Health in Young Adult Fire and Emergency Service Volunteers, the University of Melbourne for their project Recovery Capitals, Perth Hills Events for Quilts for Wirraloo Fire Recovery for their projects Quilts for Wirraloo Fire Recovery, Wellbeing Australia for their project First Responders Wellbeing Summit, ANZ CAWA Anaesthesia Resilience Working Group for their project Building Personal Resilience, Educational Models for Anaesthesia Doctors, Surf Lifesaving New South Wales for their project Building a Member Welfare System, focusing on mental health relating to critical incidents, Beyond Blue with delivery partners Headspace, Early Childhood Australia and Emerging Minds for their project BU Bushfire Response Program, and the ACT Volunteer Brigades Association for their project Ablaze, the long hot summer of 2019-2020, Canberra volunteer rural firefighters reflect on the Black Summer bushfires. All of our finalist projects are profiled on the ADAR website. It's now my pleasure to announce the highly commended award in the National Mental Health and Wellbeing Award category, and that goes to the University of Adelaide for their project Wellbeing Framework and Resource Guide for Mental Health in Young Adult Fire and Emergency Service Volunteers. This comprehensive study is the first in Australia to focus on addressing and preventing the development of mental health symptoms and disorders among young adult fire and emergency service volunteers aged 16 to 25. The data-driven and practical resources developed from this research has been uniquely co-designed with both the fire and emergency services agencies and young volunteers themselves, ensuring that they are understandable and relevant to those who will be using them. Unfortunately, due to travel restrictions, the staff from the University of Adelaide were unable to join us today for the awards ceremony. But congratulations to the staff of the University of Adelaide. The importance of recognising and preventing mental health disorders is critical to the development of young adult fire and emergency service volunteers. It is now my absolute pleasure to announce that we actually have 2 winners of the 2021 Resilient Australia National Mental Health and Wellbeing Award. And the first winner is the University of Melbourne for their project Recovery Capitals. The Recovery Capitals project aimed to support mental health and wellbeing after disasters by providing evidence-based resources for those engaged in recovery. Research from past disasters can guide good decision-making and recovery actions, but findings are often not readily accessible to people supporting recovery. The Recovery Capitals project produced accessible, engaging and evidence-based resources that offer guidance on how to apply key recovery principles in practice and build capacity before and after disasters in Australia, making a significant contribution to disaster resilience. The award is being collected by Professor Lisa Gibbs, Phoebe Quinn from the University of Adelaide and other University of Melbourne and other team members. We are now going to show a short video about their project.
So with the Recovery Capitals project, what we wanted to do is produce some resources that would help bring people up to speed on some of the key things that have been learnt from past disasters about how to support good recovery. And we also wanted to make sure that the resources were accessible and engaging enough that people could absorb those messages in contexts where they might be under time pressure and other kinds of stress. So it highlights the natural, social, political, financial, cultural, human and built capital that people and communities have, and how those resources and strengths can be drawn upon and developed upon in supporting community recovery. And that framework also helps with supporting coordination in recovery approaches across all of those different elements.
The point of RECAP is really to bring evidence forward so that people can make decisions for disaster recovery with some confidence about what's known, about what makes a difference. So often research is done and never reaches the people who need to use it. So really our job is to do the research to find out what helps people in recovery situations, but more importantly, to gather the evidence and bring it forward in a format that people can use.
One of the things that we've found is that end users really appreciate the nuanced approach to understanding recovery, but they also really like how the resources look and how easy they are to engage with.
RECAP guide is a really good timing that it's emerged, given what we've been through in the last sort of 12 to 18 months. It's a real juncture time for emergency management. We recognise the complexity of it, and this guide is a great tool to help us navigate that complexity.
Congratulations again to the University of Melbourne, an amazing project focused on learning from the past and creating a more resilient Australia for the future. It's now my pleasure to announce that the second winner of the 2021 Resilient Australia National Mental Health and Wellbeing Award is Beyond Blue, with delivery partners Headspace, Early Childhood Australia and Emerging Minds for their project BU Bushfire Response Program. The BU Bushfire Response Program provides mental health support to early learning services and schools affected by the Black Summer bushfires. The program recognises the role of learning communities in promoting positive mental health and their unique position in strengthening disaster recovery and resilience as part of their local community. In addition to the support provided to the learning communities, the program produced 3 national webinars, developed a bushfire response resource pack, and promoted cross-sector collaboration and communication through stakeholder consultations across Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia. The award is being collected by Patrice O'Brien and the BU team. While Patrice has already made her way onto the stage to collect the award, we might show a short video about the project.
The BU Bushfire Program is a program that was developed to support educators, schools and early learning services who were impacted by the Black Summer fires of 2019 to 2020. It's an innovative, place-based, trauma-informed program that really focuses on empowering educators to look after their own wellbeing and also to have the skills and knowledge to support children, young people and the communities that they work within through the recovery and regaining resilience after the traumatic event of the fires. We really quickly realised that schools and early learning services were going to play this really important role, and it wasn't only with the children and the young people, but it was actually the role that schools and early learning services end up playing as becoming a community hub in recovery from a disaster. And that really puts educators in quite a challenging position. So a big part of the program was getting information out there about how educators could look after themselves through this time. And at Beyond Blue, we often talk about it in terms of putting your own oxygen mask on first. You can't help anyone else until you make sure that you're doing okay. The really powerful thing that we're able to do was really walk alongside educators at such a challenging time and really help to empower them both to look after their own well-being, but also to feel much more confident to talk about trauma recovery with children and young people and more broadly the community. I think one of the other things that we're really proud of as well is the fact that what we've developed is sustainable. So we've created a sustainable model that can live on in BU. And we really hope that schools and early learning services don't go through the trauma that the Black Summer fires brought about. But we know, unfortunately, that other traumas will come along. And so we've now developed some fantastic content, some fantastic knowledge and ways of working that we will incorporate into BU and make that available for any school or early learning service that's facing any kind of a trauma in the future as well.
Congratulations to Beyond Blue, Headspace, Early Childhood Australia and Emerging Minds.